Good Monday morning, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend and you're ready to go get right back at it this week. And so let's start it off by taking our Bibles and going back to the 118th Psalm, Psalm 118. If you'll join me there, if you can. If not, try to I'll read the passage and you can follow along uh, that way. We're going to be picking up in verse 25 today. And psalmist says, "Save now, I beseech thee, O Lord. O Lord, I beseech thee, send now prosperity." This would be a good place for us to remember the context of the psalm or the setting of the psalm. Again, this is a psalm written uh, for a time when the Jews, when the psalmist was surrounded by his enemies, in all, again, likelihood, it was when the Israelites first, the small remnant first returned from Babylon and were trying to rebuild their city, rebuild their walls and their temple, and all the enemies from around them were opposing their rebuilding process. Again, they would have been seen as a threat. There'd just be one more kingdom to have to worry about. And so they were facing a lot of opposition. And in that setting, the psalmist cries out for the deliverance and the sustaining of God, and so there's, I think, several lessons then that we do see in that. Is that one? One thing comes to my mind is, even though they were rebuilding their city and rebuilding their walls, and possibly even by the time this psalm was penned, had actually accomplished that rebuilding, but still they recognized that they needed God's deliverance, God's salvation to protect them. And it's important, I think, for us to keep that in mind, that we are never completely self-sufficient. We are never to the point where we can make it on our own. We always, regardless of the circumstances, need the deliverance of God. We need His protection. We never find ourselves, no matter how well we're doing, how blessed we are, the matter of prosperity that we achieve, we always need the protection of God. And so that's one angle of looking at that statement. The other is then that regardless of what we find ourselves in, we can call on God. And again, it's been interesting to me over the years in talking with people and counseling with people. For some reason, it seems like many times people get in such a predicament that they think, well, I'm too bad off to ask God to help. I'm going to have to claw my way out of this. I'm going to have to work my way out of this a little bit before I call on God. And I think one of the things that we learn, not only here, but throughout the Psalms, is we see over and over again the psalmist, regardless of their predicament, calling on the Lord. That we are, and again, I know for some of you this may be a non-point, but for many people, again, it just seems like in my counseling over the years, in dealing with people, that many times people they'll get themselves in such a predicament. I'm not sure if it's because we're embarrassed that we allowed ourselves to get there, or guilty conscience, or what exactly the mindset is, but we get into the predicament where we refuse to call on God. And this and numerous other psalms Psalms remind us that that's flawed thinking. And in fact, I'll go this far. I think that's thinking comes from Satan himself, who doesn't want us to call on God because he knows, whether we do or not, he knows that God hears the prayers of his people. And so the psalmist is, again, depending, several lessons there, I think, in that statement. And Lord, I beseech thee, send now prosperity. There is no, to use, I guess, no shame in his game. He is not embarrassed or afraid to ask God to make him successful. He's not afraid to ask God to bring blessings and prosperity upon his people. And so, again, a great lesson for us. No reason, again, that we can't ask. Again, God chooses to answer prayer in several ways. Sometimes he says yes, sometimes he says no. Sometimes he says wait a while, and then sometimes he has something even better in store than what we ask for. But there's nothing wrong with asking God to bless and to send prosperity and success. And so the psalmist is, I think, teaching us a grand lesson, several good lessons in this statement. Save now. Again, regardless of your circumstance, no matter where you find yourself today, you are at liberty. And I believe God even expects that. Just as a good parent, an earthly parent, we would want our children to feel free to come and to ask us for help, to ask us for deliverance. And again, just as an earthly parent, sometimes our children may ask for something like that, and we have to tell them no. Maybe in our situation, we're not able to help, or maybe we just think they need to learn from their experience, whatever, but we would want them to share their burdens with us, and I think God, I think that's one of the lessons of the whole book of Psalms today, is that we can cast our cares, cast our burdens on Him, and ask Him for His blessings on our life. And so this morning, I'd like to leave you with that thought. Wherever you find yourself today, as we start a new week, whatever this week may bring, there is no point too low. There is no situation too dark, no pit too deep for us to call out onto your Heavenly Father and ask Him for deliverance and ask Him for blessings on your life. And so today, let me just encourage you to not try to go through it alone, not try to face the battles of life by yourself, but to remember that you have a Heavenly Father who sees your predicament, who sees your situation, who cares for you and loves you. And so wherever you find yourself, today, this week, be sure that you have a Father who loves you and one you can cry out on, just like the psalmist, to say, Father, save me. Save me and send me prosperity. Bless me. God is not alarmed, or God is not hurt by that request. All right, you have a good day, and remember to call on the Lord if you need Him. Have a good day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.